Well, I'm never going to create a Zoom meeting from Inside Groups IO again.
Well, I will take your link stuff and broadcast it through TMUG announce
Okay,
the one that worked. Although it looks like the same one.
I know that's the funny part. It is the same one, but it's not.
Yeah, this one you have to be use the web client, and the quality is not the same.
Yeah, I did notice the quality was not as good. So we learned our lesson. I learned the lesson. Do not create Zoom meetings in Group IO.
Well, it's Roger. It's not where you created it. I think it's how you entered the meeting. Because if I click the regular link to the meeting, it tells me that you're already in a meeting currently.
Yeah, that's what Bob experienced as well.
So I think if everybody leaves and you re-enter using the normal process, then everybody else could join with that process.
Well, no, I entered the meeting from Zoom. I didn't enter it from the Group IO link.
Right, but did you use the application or are you on the web?
No, I'm in the Zoom app.
Okay.
And are you aware that you have no video, Kevin?
No, I don't. So let me go into settings, video,
And we need a better microphone.
the other camera.
Or if you're using your Bluetooth microphone, it's not selected.
And audio.
And how's this?
Oh, much better.
All right.
Okay, Bob, is there anything I can do to help alert people?
I don't know. I just sent it out on TMUG announce. Although I did get another one from you. I've gotten 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 emails from you since 501.
Yeah, well, I checked every box in Groups IO about giving whatever it says, alerts or something. So we tried and we failed. I tried, I failed.
Okay.
Actually, Groups IO failed. That's what happened.
Yeah.
So I will go back to my old system, creating the link in Zoom and pasting it in Group IO.
Okay. Well, I have a question.
Shoot.
I have a 5 terabyte portable drive that was not mounting for me on my iMac. And it's a backup drive, and I replaced it, and everything seems to be cool there. Well, let me try to mount it to my MacBook Pro. And it mounted, and it showed 7 or 8 partitions, different, some of mine, some of Kurt's, for system and for data. I don't know why there were so many. I thought, well, just gonna erase this thing and have it be one partition, just a plain drive. It won't do that. I have gone through all kinds of permutations, and I still can't get, I've got all the separate Bob's partition, Bob's data partition, Bob's partition, Bob's data partition, and the same for Kurt. Those are all gone away, but I still have 2 partitions. And I can't make it into one.
What are the 2 partitions?
Right now, it's Untitled 1 and Untitled 2. It started out being Kurt's partition and Bob's partition.
Okay.
And then we would back up to those.
What do you have it plugged into your computer right now?
No, because it won't mount on this computer at all.
Okay. When you click on the drive, do you see the drive or just the volumes?
When I open drive disk
utility.
utility, I see the 2 volumes. I don't see,
Above that.
I don't see Seagate drive and then
Okay.
partition 1 and partition 2.
Right. So what you need to do is hit Command 2 when you're in disk utility.
Yeah.
Then you'll see it'll say Seagate BUP and then a number.
Uh-huh.
Select that, click erase, make sure you change the format from master boot record to GUID. And then erase
Okay.
it. One of the
Okay.
things is that I believe it was MBR does not see any volumes above 4 terabytes. So what you're doing is you're creating Untitled 1 would be 4 terabytes and Untitled 2 would be 1 terabyte, most likely.
It was 2 and 3, but that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And I had it formatted as APFS.
Right. You want to do APFS, but do you know how like where you have your pull down menu, you can select what you want APFS and all that? There's another sub menu underneath that. That's only visible when you can see the drive in disk utility.
Oh, okay.
So when you click on Seagate, you'll have 2 drop down menus. The top one you want to select is APFS, and the second one you want to make sure you select the GUID. And then erase it, it'll make what appears to you as 1 volume, but will be 4.
Okay. Why is it 4?
Well, just like on the old drives with HFS Plus, you never saw the EFI and the recovery partition.
Oh,
those were invisible. There's a couple of others. There's a home, a system, and hold on a second. I'm usually doing this in the terminal, so let me pull that up.
There's a message for you.
You'll have on your regular hard drive, especially if there's a system on it, for each system, you'll have your original hard drive, like say Macintosh HD, you'll have Macintosh HD data, you'll have a pre-boot, a recovery, a VMware, and then an APFS snapshot. So that's actually 6.
Okay. Okay. Well, I'll try this while you guys go on, and I'll report back. Any other questions?
Stunning the silence.
Let me ask a question. So I'm considering, because I can't figure out how to use the Word program that came with my iMac, and I have old Word for Windows 7, and I want to buy the Word for an iMac, the Apple version. You can buy, I think it's called the student version. Well, will I be able to open the old files in that and then save them over to the iMac?
Anything that's ends in .doc you'll be able to open, or .docx, yes.
Okay.
But the student, are you a student?
No, that's the one that they're selling without a subscription.
You don't want to buy anything without a subscription right now. Because right now, 2021 is in beta, and it's supposed to be released by the end of the year. So if you buy Office 19, you'll only get to use it for a few months, and then it won't update anymore. And you've wasted your money.
On the other hand, if the other one hasn't been updated in 4 years, what do I care?
Well, true, but also you said you want to use it on your iPad?
No, just on the iMac.
Just on the, yeah, then you could do that if you want. But what they charge you, I mean, you could get $150, I think, for the student version.
Yes.
You could get Office 365 for $7 a month. It's 70, I think it's $70 a year if you pay yearly. So that's a little over 2 years for the same price, and you'll have the latest version, plus all the benefits of the other software and features with it.
Okay, I understand what you're saying, that,
One of the things that, especially if you use Word a lot of people love the autosave feature. The autosave feature has been disabled on the standalone version. It's only available if you're logged into Office 365 and you're saving documents to the web.
okay.
Is there a reason you want to use Word?
Yeah, I use Word because I can't figure out Pages. So it's easier for me to use Word. We just literally, it's, now that I'm not working anymore, I probably have to use it 4 times a year. So it's not like I need a lot of bells and whistles, and not like I'm going to be doing a lot of other things than maybe typing a letter every once in a while.
Yeah, Pages isn't really that hard to use, and I was forced to use Word when I worked, but now I deal, with a lot of stuff that people come in with Word, and I just do it in Pages. And if they don't like the way Pages in Word converts back to Word, well, okay, that's fine.
Yeah, another thing you could do,
I don't need to do it. I'm not getting paid to do this stuff anymore.
Jim, another thing you do is use TextEdit, which comes with your Mac operating system.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a simple word processor. You won't have any problem learning it. And it's just probably as much as you need if you only are creating documents infrequently. And you'll save yourself a lot of money.
Okay.
And then there's another alternative called LibreOffice. I put a link to it in the chat. And
I would recommend it.
Why not?
Well, it saves files in its proprietary format. So if you upgrade your system and LibreOffice is behind a little bit, you lose access to your files. I actually had that happen to a client once.
Well, you can save them in Word format.
You'd have to export them as Word, but same thing with Pages. If he's going to do that, might as well use Pages, import a document, and then export it as a Word document.
Right.
Does the same thing.
So TextEdit may be all you really need, Jim. So check that out.
I will check it out. Thank you.
Go ahead, Gerald.
I'm still running Mojave. And one of the reasons I do is because 2 pieces of software that I have that's the newest OS I can use for them. Is it possible for me to buy a new M1 MacBook Pro, I'm sorry, run Parallels and do Mojave on there and still run these 2 programs?
No, right now, no.
Because M1s won't run the same stuff as Intel. Is that it?
Well, correct. The Parallels and VMware on the M1 will only run software or operating systems that were designed for the ARM processor, like a special version of Windows.
Okay.
And now, if you were to say get the current line of 16-inch MacBook Pro with the i9 processor in it, then you could run VMware and run your older operating system.
Now say that again. Say that again.
If you were to say get an i9, which is the current MacBook Pro, the 16-inch,
Okay.
then you could run a virtual machine with Mojave or any version of the Mac OS.
I see. Okay.
You
Because
want.
that's probably going to be the last MacBook Pro that has the Intel processor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I'm hoping they come out with another one and they give us options. Because I know a lot of professionals that use MacBook Pros, and if they lose the ability to run Linux and Windows, they're going to have to carry 2 machines.
Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Got a question for you guys. A friend of mine, his wife is running Spotify, so she doesn't have an Apple Music subscription. And she has some old MP3 files that used to play in iTunes, but they don't anymore. What app would you recommend for him/her to play those MP3 files, since they're not Apple Music people? Or she is anyway.
iTunes should play MP3s.
iTunes should still work and play them. I kind of figured as
Yeah.
much.
I mean, iTunes could convert them to AC3, AIF, or MP3s, but MP3 is a very supported platform.
Okay. And would it still work? How about on the iPhone?
Yeah, it'll still work on the iPhone.
Super. Appreciate that. You know, I have second totally unrelated question. I discovered this week, much to my enjoyment, that I use column view all the time in the Finder, and I could right click on the handle and it's got a message that, let me see if I can read this to you guys. You click any handle, right click it, and you've got size this column, right size this column, right size all columns independently, right size all columns equally. So I really like the middle option, right size all columns individually. And I'm just wondering if there's any way to have that as sort of a default for Windows
Yes.
opening.
Hit Command J before you make your settings.
Okay. Okay.
Now change it on a window
Right.
and click Use as Default.
Sort by none, use. Where is the use as default in the Command J?
It should be on the bottom.
Let's see. I am not seeing it, but well, let me try it on another window. Let me try it on another window because I'd already done it in that window. Always open in column view, browse in column view, group by none.
What you want to do is you want to set your setting in that window. So in other words, if you're in column view, you right click up on top, or whoops, I'll do it in a mid thing. Where is that setting? I don't see it in, what operating system are you in?
This is Mac OS 12 beta 5, I think, unless, yeah.
Oh, OS 15. Yeah, 12.
Yeah. Well, this is Monterey, actually. Yeah.
Well, in Big Sur, to change it with individual, God, Big Sur doesn't even let you do it anymore. I know in
I know what you're talking about, the default, open as default, and
yeah, in Catalina, it used to be you held your option key down where you had your dividers, and it let you drag them individually, and then once you set them, you hit use as default and Command J, and it just kept that setting. Unfortunately, in Big Sur, it looks like they took away. No, wait a second.
Open as default.
You know, let me open up another window. Maybe I'm in the wrong one. View as columns. Yeah, on my system, I can't even change any of the widths when I'm in view and columns in Big Sur.
How about if you know, the little vertical equal sign at the bottom of the divider, which the handle, I guess that is. If I right click on that, then I get some options for right size.
Right, it says right. All you do that, and you do all columns individually.
Right.
Which will then allow you to move them individually. And if you always open column view, oh, the use as default was taken out in column view. There may be a terminal command for it, but I don't see it in the command J. When you're
Okay.
in list view or icons, the use as defaults is there. But I'm not a column view person. As a matter of fact, I like list view.
Okay, a real traditionalist, huh? Back to
It's
day
what-
one.
It's what works.
I do use it a lot for sizes though. Yeah, I bounce back and forth. Yeah.
Let me see if Mac Pilot has anything on that.
But for those of us that do use column view, the right size all columns individually is fantastic. Because especially invariably my columns have different widths, and this will just auto size a whole window that way. And it's, even if I have to do that for each window, it's worth it. Because usually once I size a window, I just leave it that way until it gets closed or the machine restarts or something.
Yeah, I don't see anything in here. You might want to just Google the web.
Yeah, I'll check it out. Appreciate it though. New update on iMazing. I guess we'll probably talk about that tonight. It's the second update that has the
Spyware check.
yeah. And the other thing I discovered with iOS 15, I have 128 gigs on my iPhone XR, and I literally had about half of it free. And I looked the other night on iMazing, and it said, you've only got 8 gigs free. And I thought, whoa, what took up all the space? So I've yet to get back to that, but I'm kind of curious if anybody has tried this. I wonder if Siri with the voice recognition is using up more space, or if Apple will identify that for us.
Well, whenever you're running a beta software, lots of times the compression in the software is not there. So your OS
Okay.
is using a little bit more, and it keeps logs and update files and all that stuff on the device.
Okay.
Do you use the HomeKit for anything?
Actually, I don't.
Because every time I've upgraded to iPad OS 15, I've had to erase it because it doesn't support HomeKit yet, or at least none of my devices are seen.
Wow, I didn't know
yeah,
that.
and I have over 80 devices in HomeKit.
Kevin, why am I not surprised?
It's, well, new house. What could I say?
You may have
But
some sort of record going there.
I don't know. It's been fun, but everything in here is automated.
Does it work with your electric toothbrush too?
No. It probably does. Our toothbrush are Bluetooth compatible, so who knows?
It'll
Chris?
tell you when you need to change the brush.
Yeah.
Electric toothbrush support is coming.
One thing
Chris?
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't use iAmazing, but I was just looking at, I'm running iOS 15 on my iPad. It's a 256 gig iPad. And it's showing I'm only using 80 gigabytes out of it, and I don't think that's changed much, so. I don't know
Interesting.
if we're looking at the same numbers or not.
Interesting data point. Thank you. Yeah.
Kevin,
Yeah, yes, Gerald.
I'm looking at the 16-inch Mac Pros, and they've got an i7 and an i9. What's the difference between those two?
The i9 is a faster, newer processor. You figure it's about 20 to 30% faster than the i7.
Okay,
It's still not an M1 as far as speed goes, because software that's optimized for the M1 is really fast, but it'll get you pretty close.
okay, thank you again.
And David, do you use HomeKit?
Yes, I do.
Is your home stuff seen in your iPad running iOS 15?
Where do I want to look?
In the Home app.
Yes, they are.
Okay, must be my system then. I got to call Apple.
I only got 3,700 HomeKit items, so
Yeah.
no, I got 3.
One thing I wanted to bring up is, anybody here been hearing what's going on with 1Password?
No,
How many people here use 1Password?
I do.
You mean the version 8 that they just announced?
Version 8 that they just announced that everybody is screaming about.
Yeah, I haven't
I
switched
don't use
over.
version 8.
Well,
Maybe
one
have
of,
what or problem.
well, one of the things is, when they go to 8, you can no longer use the standalone version. So people like me that like buying the software, you have to buy a subscription. You can no longer use Dropbox or iCloud to sync between devices. So you have to use their cloud server, and they're rewriting the software where it's going to have it's just not going to be as nice as the old software.
My understanding is that this is basically a temporary measure. And once Apple gets Swift UI all available on all of the places that 1Password wants to service, they're going to be changing things over to Swift UI, but have no clue how long that will take.
Well, according to them, they say that everything's going to be done on Electron, which is currently compatible with Linux, iOS, Android, you name it. And what they've done in the past, they've had to have different teams for each version. Now they just want a single team working on it, so that when they deploy and update, it goes across all platforms. And Apple Swift will never work on an Android or on Linux. They just won't do it.
Yeah, okay.
Kevin,
I don't know where I got that information from then.
I Googled the 5 best password programs for the Mac, and I use 1Password, and it listed as the fourth best program. I can't remember what the other programs were, but
It depends on who you look at a review. Most of them have 1Password as number 1. The tops are Bitwarden, 1Password, NPass, NordPass, and there's a couple of other ones in there. Another thing is, I know a lot of people that only use 1Password on their iOS devices, which has been free for the last 10 years. And now those people are going to have to be upgrading. They're going to force upgrade to iOS 8 or version 8 on iOS, and they're going to have to pay a monthly fee or lose all their passwords.
wow.
You know, 1Password joined up with another company. Somebody from Texas, I think.
No idea. All I know is there's a lot of talk about it on the web, and I've been looking at other password managers, and I was wondering what other people use. I am dead set for some reason against monthly subscriptions. You get 5 or 6 of them, and you're spending a lot of money every month.
That's why I buy it a year at a time. Usually you get a volume discount.
Yeah, but even a year at a time, when you consider it, you can spend $1,000 every year on software.
I know that number sounds high, but in a few years or so, it's gonna, I think, become, unfortunately, the norm.
I agree.
If you're going to be doing cutting edge things. Now, if you just want to use the software that comes right from Apple and don't do anything else, use the keychain instead of using a separate password manager. That'll probably be okay for a goodly number of people. But if you want to go beyond that, like anybody who's a member of this organization has probably done, then the price has gone up, and basically it's the price of supporting so many people who are working on so many different kinds of software.
Add streaming services and music services to that, and it starts to get really expensive.
Yeah. That's my thing, is I'm trying to cut back a little. I did find out, does anybody here have Comcast?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, do you know that if you have more than one box, you pay an extra $10 a month for every box that you have? But if you get a Roku stick, Xfinity just came out with their Stream app. So you could stream Xfinity to a Roku stick without paying a monthly fee for your second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth TV. And you also don't have to have a cable jack in that room as well.
Yeah.
And they just started that a couple of months ago, and it's really nice.
I think Doriana is using that. How's that working, Doriana?
I dozed off there for a minute. What are we talking about?
Using the Roku stick to get to the Comcast app instead of adding another box and $10 a month.
Yeah, I use the Roku. Are you talking about using, hold on. You talk about using this?
Right.
And how's that working? It works okay. I can get back and forth from Xfinity. And I do most on Xfinity. I still have my old Xfinity, my original Xfinity channels and things.
Quick question, my Mac Mini, the old one, it's not working anymore. Do I have any options? I can only do the internet and maybe email, but no program is working. 2010 Mac Mini.
You could always get a new Mac Mini.
Oh, I got one. I mean, I have the 2018, but I was doing all my work on the 2010.
When you say it's not working anymore, what's not working on it, Louis?
Oh, any program, it's telling me I cannot open anything. It just stopped working. So Adobe Acrobat, because it might be damaged or incomplete. Anything that I click, text edit doesn't work. Preview, none of the application. In the past, when I had another old Mac computer, slowly was becoming dysfunctional. But this thing can happen everything at once.
It could be that the hard drive. It could be the hard drive in it is going bad. After 11 years, those hard drives don't exactly play nice.
No, that's very old for a hard drive.
Okay, I have everything backed up, but I wanted to slow.
2010, that only has USB 2 on it, so you really can't even boot off of an external drive. I would just, I mean, if you want a second Mac Mini in that vintage, you go out, buy a 2010 or 2011 or 2012 Mac Mini and pay $200-300 for it, and then restore your backup to it, and then it'll get you going again. But I don't think they're worth, you'll spend that much just to get a new hard drive put in there.
To not mention also the week that it'll take to move all that data over USB 2.
Yeah.
No, I can work on the new one, but yeah, but now I need to update to the El Capitan. So I just was a little, it would be nice to have a second computer there in case I have issues with El Capitan.
I'm up in Pine Top and I can't get Safari to get to my email. I use Firefox and I have no trouble, but I got the Wi-Fi installed and I get to the other links on the internet, but I cannot get to my Gmail account using Safari. Does anybody have an idea what's the problem? In Tucson, I have no trouble. I have no problem at all.
It might be your cookie setting or your cross-site settings in your preferences in Safari.
Okay, I'll take a look.
Tom, do you get any diagnostic at all?
No, I couldn't get to my email, so I just went to Firefox. I've only been here 3 days, so I'm up at in Pine Top, so I've been getting my email through Firefox, so no problem at all.
What operating system are you running?
I'm on my iPro, but it's about 3 systems back. I'm not sure which one's on it.
Okay.
But I had, I didn't have any trouble in Tucson, so I figured it should be working up here, but for some reason it does not.
Oh.
Who's your provider up there?
Well, I'm with I'm in Worldmart, and the password is a resort
Okay.
too, and I had no trouble getting on Wi-Fi. There is a number you can call for help. I didn't bother calling them. I called them about another problem, but I didn't call them about my Safari problem. But they had to. I had to give them my ID login for them to get me on the Wi-Fi. And both my wife has a brand new Mac Pro, and I have an old Mac Pro.
A MacBook Pro, you mean?
I mean, yeah, Mac Pro.
The only other thing I could suggest, and it's usually an issue with AOL, but if you go into your network settings, make sure that IPv6 is set for link local.
Okay.
And because sometimes some places don't like IPv6 and it messes it up.
All right.
It's likely that being out in the sticks, quote unquote, in Pine Top, your provider is not quite as likely to be as IP6 capable as Cox or Comcast.
Yeah, well, they tried to, I had trouble, and the Worldmark kicks off a page that says new user or old user, and they want $16 for 10 days. But it's supposed to be free for people that are here at Worldmark. It's a Wyndham resort. It's fairly nice.
Complain to the front desk. I'm sure they've run into that problem a lot.
Well, I think they were hoping I pay the $15.
Of course,
Yeah.
but push back.
Well, I did. I called the desk and told her my problem. She gave me the number to call their tech guy, and I called him, and he was able to get me on it. But
Good.
It was not a simple operation. I had to go, I give him my IP address. He had to do it. He did, so I don't know what he did at his end, but he had to put me on.
Had authorized you.
Yeah.
I have a question.
We've got answers.
Oh, well.
We hope.
Sometimes.
I have an older 2012 MacBook Pro and I got a DVD stuck in the optical drive and it was tough stuff. So none of the things turning it on and off and pushing buttons and stuff won't eject it. So is there any way to take it apart to get a DVD out?
Have you tried 2012? I'm trying to think. Roger, do you know if a 2012 has NVRAM? So
Yeah, yeah, she's tried everything, that's commonly suggested to eject your DVD and nothing has worked.
Is the DVD seen on the desktop at least?
No, it doesn't show up anywhere.
It could be you have a bad DVD drive in there. So,
Well,
I mean,
I played one DVD and then it worked okay. And then I stuck the second one in and it said something about it wouldn't read it. And then the third one, I really had a hard time trying to get it in. And so I shoved it in and I can hear that it goes around every now and then, but it won't recognize it or eject it at all.
what you could do is you could take the DVD drive out of the machine. You'd have to open it up. They're not that difficult, believe it or not, to take out. And when you do take it out, if you look at, say, well, when you take it out, it's going to be upside down. But when it's normally on the right-hand side, inside the DVD, there's a little lever that'll force eject the disc. Usually you have to hit it with a pen or a really small screwdriver.
Small Phillips, a tiny Phillips screwdriver usually will work for that. But it won't work through the slot. You've got to take the drive out.
Right. Because the bezel is blocking the area.
Because some of the tolerances on the drives, I think, in that vintage had issues with the thicker optical discs. And I used to use a little, it's like a piece of plastic. I don't know what the thing is. It's a piece of plastic that looks like a pencil that's got a pencil point on one end and it's flat on the other end. And sometimes I could try to get in there and just apply enough so it would pop out. It was almost like I had to get it over a ledge so that the disc would pop out.
Yeah.
Of course, you run the risk of not only damaging the disc, but the drive as well. So that might be just a last resort. Would Comcast be any help with, or Simutech be any help with this?
They may, but they'd probably charge her $150 to do it.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah.
If it's a 2012, that's the non-retina version. So I'm not even sure if it'd be worth it.
All things die and they never die at a good time.
the fact that the disk does not show up on the desktop is pretty much says that the drive is at fault.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking also.
The optical drive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only fix is to replace the optical drive.
Mhm.
You might try Amazon to see if you can find one. Do a search for optical drive for MacBook Pro 2012. And then really handy people like me and Roger and Kevin can maybe replace it. You might lose the disk itself because they're usually.
That's no problem.
Oh, okay.
Okay, well, I'll keep you posted. Thanks, Ridge.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Actually, Doriana, I think that it'd be cheaper if you just get an external DVD drive and use that.
Yeah,
don't
do,
need to
yeah,
put it
buy-
on
I
the-
do
Yeah.
have one. I do have one. And
Yeah. I got into the habit of using an external drive a long time ago, and I rarely even get it out of the closet anymore. But just having it there as a backup is fine and does all of my needs.
okay, thank you.
Oh, I've got one worse than that, Jerry. Let me see if I could unplug this thing. I have this thing on my desk.
Oh, my Lord.
I don't know if anybody can see it. It's an old floppy drive. 'Cause every now and then I get a client who says, "Can you read what's on this disk?"
Did you charge him $125?
Yes, sir.
Never see Mom and Dad, here we go again. Play? No, they made a movie. Oh,
I've got another question for you guys. Is there any way to store stuff on iCloud and not have it reflect on the startup drive?
Oh, and then there's like 3 guys.
It seems to me
I
like,
think Doriana is colliding with you.
Chris, what do you mean by not show up?
well, when you put stuff on iCloud, right, and you go down to iCloud in the Finder, it's it's actually residing on your startup drive, right?
Yes and no.
Yeah. Well, I'm
If
trying to
there's enough room on your startup drive, it'll put it in a container folder.
Right. Right. That appears in the library somewhere. But I was just curious if, Roger was talking about the Apple One bundles today. I thought, the extra iCloud storage would be nice, but the problem is if I put more stuff up there, it's going to mirror back to my startup drive. So it's sort of a zero-sum game.
Well, that's only if you're using it for Mac stuff, yes. But not if you're using it for iPad and iPhone devices.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one advantage that Dropbox has. And
Right.
Box, you could actually tell it they have what's known as selective syncing. You could tell it, I don't want this on this device.
You don't want it local. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's the real question. And
Yeah.
yeah, and that was the problem with storing documents and stuff in the cloud. And once, if you ever turn that off, it can precipitate all sorts of chaos.
Another thing that you may want to check, have you ever heard of an app called Expand Drive?
Yes, I used to use it.
Expand Drive lets you mount other services as a hard drive on your desktop. I wonder if you use if Expand Drive is compatible with iCloud, and if it does it, and if it can put things in a hidden folder that wouldn't sync.
No, that's really
Interesting. That's worth a try.
Because when .Mac first came out, when iTools came out, your iCloud or your .Mac drive was only 20 gigabytes at the time, but it was a cloud only, and you had to mount it on your desktop. So there may be a way of turning off local syncing.
Interesting. That's a great suggestion. I'll give it a try.
I found Safari awfully slow recently. I've started using a lot of Firefox.
After the last update, 12.7.1,
Right.
or whatever it is, what is this OS? 12.5.2, I have found that Safari becomes extremely slow, and the only way to get it back again is to restart the Finder.
Oh, okay.
And I don't know if Apple knows about it. I've just been so busy. I haven't even put in a bug report for it because I can't figure out exactly what's causing it.
I'll try that. Good idea. Thank you.
Do you know how to restart the Finder?
Just go to, what is it? Well, no, tell me.
Okay, what you do is you see the Finder icon on the bottom left of your dock.
Yeah.
Hold down the Option key and then right click on that. You'll see a button that says relaunch.
Okay.
Now, lots of times when I do that, it takes about a minute or two, sometimes as long as 10 minutes for the Finder to come back. So whatever's going on is going on at the Finder, but once the Finder does come back, everything works normally.
That means that that action is not the same as a force quit.
Yeah, there's a force quit for the Finder and it's a relaunch.
Yeah, force quit does the same thing because the Finder is supposed to be running it all the time. I think relaunching just bypasses, doesn't wait for the hook to see that it should be running.
Does that help if the Finder crashes and it doesn't restart?
Yeah.
I'll have to try it because otherwise I have to restart the whole machine. And that can be time consuming, depending on what's open, of course.
Yeah.
Try that.
Would that help with problems and I have with my ports?
No, if you have problems with your ports, resetting your PRAM and your NVRAM usually fixes that.
Doesn't. I've got a very funny situation. I've got one of these LG monitors, and anything I plug into there mounts normally, but whatever I plug into my MacBook Pro doesn't mount. If I restart, it doesn't mount, but if I shut down and start up again, then they do mount. So every time I boot it, I have to boot it twice if I want what I have plugged into my MacBook Pro to mount.
You might want to just change the ports in your MacBook Pro. What I've noticed in mine, the ports closest to the trackpad, I've had a problem mounting drives with. So I now use those to connect the LG monitor, and I only use the back ports for peripherals. But at the same time, you have the 27-inch 5K display?
Yes.
You could plug your peripherals right into the back of the monitor and it should work. You have 3 USB-C ports back there.
Well, those work. Funny, they work, but they don't work off the computer. And I do have them in the front, in the back ports.
Yeah. You try resetting your NVRAM and the PRAM. That's the only thing I could think of, or the SMC and the PRAM.
I did. You had pointed out how to do it. I did it a couple of times.
The only other option would be get a hub.
That's worse.
Powered hub.
Yeah, without seeing it, Tommy, it's kind of hard to say.
Okay, let me interrupt here. We have promised to do a 10-minute break between the Ask Me Anything meeting and the general meeting, and we've already gotten into 3 minutes of that 10 minutes, so you can keep talking amongst yourselves, and we will start the general meeting at 7 o'clock.
One thing I found with my LG monitor is on the Mac Mini, M1 Mac Mini, is that sometimes on a long restart, the signal will not be enough to light up the monitor again. And so I try a couple of things. You know, I hit the shift key a bunch of times, then I do the on-off monitor button at the bottom. But when all else fails, I just go around the back and unplug the USB-C, wait about 5 seconds and plug it back in again, and that invariably will do it. but it's kind of inconvenient, and I hate doing that because if I do it enough times, it'll probably wear out that USB-C port, I'd imagine.
One thing that you could do is always get a short 6-inch USB-C extension cable or Thunderbolt 3 extension cable.
Oh, and do that instead of the
Only
back of the
disconnect the
monitor.
extension cable, yeah.
Ooh.
Or even better, they sell USB-C cables with a power switch that just turn off the power ports to it.
Really?
So you have a switch, and the switch will basically disconnect the power. I know they have them for USB-C, USB 3, and they're designed for Raspberry Pis, and I believe the new Raspberry Pi has USB-C in it.
I heard that.
So my guess is they probably make those USB-C with inline switch. The first one I see on Amazon is USB-A on one side, C on the other, but I'm sure they have them.
Really? That's a great idea, though, about the adapter. I'll have to think about that. Yeah. That would be an improvement. It seems to be getting a little bit better. I don't know if it's something on the OS side or not, or that's...
Ridge, we're talking about something totally different. Yeah, well, I've heard of a problem with the USB-C ports on the first generation M1 minis having power issues.
Oh, really? Maybe that's it.
So it could be that.
Interesting.
Yep, this is it. Let me put a link in here in the...
Oh, awesome.
Let me get a short URL for this. Give me a second. And there goes that. And I just put a link in the chat.
Thanks.
And all is a USB-C key with a switch to disconnect power to it.
Terrific.
So it's not Thunderbolt 3, but it is USB-C. So as long as your monitor is USB-C, you should be fine.
Mm-hmm. Oh, for goodness sakes, look at that.
Yeah, I have a CarPlay adapter that makes my CarPlay into wireless that every now and then locks up. So I mounted something similar to this underneath my dash. So I just flip it off and flip it back on rather than reaching down, unplugging, and then replugging.
It's really interesting.
Amazon has everything.
God, don't they, though? The other thing, Kevin, that I find with Safari is, depending upon what pages are open, it can be a real memory hog. And, for some reason, Nikon Rumors is even worse than Mac Rumors. They must have a lot of stuff going on their inactive windows.
Which rumors?
Nikon Rumors.
Oh, I'm a Canon person, sorry.
Well, they have photo rumors too. I think they have Canon rumors too, don't they? Yeah. But the rumor pages, they have all these ads and stuff on them, and that stuff can really, when you look at the activity monitor, it's amazing. And it actually will break it down in the activity